am afraid of retaliation, but I'm more afraid of what the consequences will be if there isn't transparency.
Racist and triggering. Those are just a few of many choice words that some workers have for a mandatory training program within the Washington Department of Health. It's called Outward Mindset and was brought into the Department of Health to foster better communication. But some employees who have reached out to Fox 13 saying it's used to silence them.
A petition with more than 250 signatures is calling for DOH to drop it as a requirement. Fox 13's Nia Wong joins us from the newsroom on what's changed at the agency since we first aired our report last month. Nia?
DOH leadership told us they weren't getting rid of outward mindset, and within a week of our first report, the mandatory trainings were still happening, so that hasn't changed. But here's what is changing. More workers are gaining the courage to speak out against the Utah-based training program.
The response has been a ripple effect. There are staff that finally feel emboldened to say something, specifically the black and brown staff, where usually they don't at all because of the retaliation culture at work.
This worker says it's that retaliation culture within the Washington Department of Health she fears, which is why we're hiding her identity and calling her Jane. She says she's told leadership the program is problematic and isn't alone in getting pushback.
My coworkers started telling me how their supervisors were basically gaslighting them and saying, well, you're not thinking outwardly, you need to think about it in my way.
Members of the Washington Federation of State Employees have called outward mindset, shame training, damaging and detrimental. For Jane, she says she's found the program to be traumatizing.
It felt like being in the home of my abusive family all over again. I remember a lot of examples being like describing people like children.
We wholeheartedly stand behind outward mindset.
After watching our exchange with DOH leadership, Jane is speaking with Fox 13, calling for the end of the controversial program within DOH.
You have staff who have been told to stay in their lane, to sit down, shut up. That's your fault for whatever is happening to you.
Jane remembers outward mindset rolling out across the agency a few months before the turbulent 2020 pandemic.
Then we have a crisis, a global crisis no one could have prepared for. It's the perfect disaster.
Jane believes outward mindset burdened DOH's response during the early days of the pandemic.
There is now chaos happening left and right. Things like, when the vaccine started rolling out, people protesting, put bomb threats at work, and we're seeing things happening real time, and we're trying to report it up and say, hey, these are some issues happening, and being told, no, this isn't a problem.
DOH says it's made changes to outward mindset, but Jane says it's still weaponized against DOH workers.
It set up this just really yucky dynamic for people to go along with the masses and not question authority and not feel confident and trust their educational background.
The Washington Federation of State Employees says outward mindset has become DOH's standard for conduct, accusing DOH of using it in hiring, firing, promotions, and discipline. So we asked DOH if this is true.
So employee evaluations, outward mindset tools are not to be utilized for purposes of that. Disciplinary process, that's completely separate. Outward mindset is not utilized for disciplinary action.
Well, we do have an example in which somebody claimed that they tried to bring up workplace issues, and instead they were given a letter of expectations tied to outward mindset. Are you aware of this letter?
I'm not aware of that letter.
Well, it says, the letter serves as clarification regarding expectations of you and your position. My expectations are communications, both written and verbally, will use outward mindset principles. It seems like outward mindset is used in employee evaluations.
Outward mindset, again, really is the focus on how we can come together and how we engage. So yes, if there are moments where people are engaging in such a way that's not supportive and not in line with how we as an organization from our foundational culture want employees to connect and engage with one another, that is problematic. So that obviously could lead to further conversations.
And this letter doesn't seem to be a one-off.
I could go into mine right now. I could pull up my laptop and my letter will be in there.
Jane says DOH leadership uses outward mindset to gaslight workers, and it has to stop.
I want the agency to confidently wipe their hands clean of outward mindset and accept their losses. The way we're treated at work directly translates to how the people of Washington State are treated.
At this point, we've heard concerns about outward mindset from Washington DOH employees, as well as the union representing them. but this program may spread beyond the Department of Health. We've learned more Washington state agencies are looking to potentially bring outward mindset into their offices. If you'd like to share your experience with this program, whether on the record or anonymously, send me an email, nia.wong@fox.com. In the newsroom, Nia Wong, Fox 13 News.